Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about slow seniors. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, I work with a senior that is super slow. He's slower than all the juniors. What should I do? Should I fire this person, or what should I do? So the short answer is you need to find out why he is so slow. That's what you need to do. Now, the reason why you need to do that is because if you don't, you are assuming pretty much that your interpretation, because I'm assuming that this person is not a technical person of any sort. He didn't give me any indication to that. I think he was a manager of some sort. If you are going to fire this person based on this one metric, which is speed, which is the thing that all business people measure success by, that and perceived value or perceived skill. So speed is the favorite thing for non-technical people, because speed means that you're good, right? No, it doesn't. What speed means is that you are faster than somebody else. And if you think about that, there are more than one way, there are quite a few ways actually that you can achieve speed when you're coding. It's actually not that complicated if you think about it. So what's the difference between cheap furniture and well-made furniture? Well, some of you are going to argue the price, and sure, that is absolutely true, but it also comes down to the materials and the considerations and the development, or the production cost of the furniture, or pretty much any good. We're just going to stick with that for now, but this is the same thing with software. Like, the production cost is the thing that is actually going to determine how fast you are, and this is where it gets really tricky, because if this senior is so slow that a junior can sprint around them, there are many things that could be going on. The junior, as an example, could be cutting corners left and right. I don't even want to think about that scenario, because you might have a junior developer who is perceived as being really fast, but what they're actually doing is that, the reason why they're so fast is because they don't give a fuck about security, they don't give a fuck about quality of the code, and this is actually not that unlikely that this is going on if they're unsupervised. I don't know how much legacy gets produced from unsupervised juniors. This happens, it's like frequent, it happens all over the place. So that's one way why this person may be slow. They might actually not be slow. It's just that you have other developers who are pretty much ignoring good practices and sprinting ahead because they can do that. And that's going to damage you a lot as a company. A lot. Would be interesting to see if you could reach back to me, and well, this is going to take a while, but if let's say in Fantasyland that you applied good practices and code reviews and like all of these different things. Maybe you are, but I don't know that. And just see if that adjusts everybody, because technically, if you're doing all the things correct at the company, the differences in skill and delivery speed shouldn't be all that big. It should vary a little bit, but not like by a lot. The other way of looking at it is that the senior is overthinking problems, or that they are actually forced to work on features that are more complicated to deliver than the junior. Because I mean, if you ask a junior developer or some other one developer to I don't know, design a form, and the other one needs to take care of 3-4 integrations with a memory leak here and there, vastly different complexity of task can also be a factor that factors into why someone is just slower. And then you also have this possibility that the senior is actually trying to improve things. It might be the case that the senior is trying to refactor code, like they know that you're the sort of person that they can turn to and ask, hey, you know what, we need to clean this part of the code base up because you're all about speed, aren't you? Which means that anything that could delay you is going to be a big no-no, which means that they simply stop asking for permission and they just do. I've met many seniors like that who, like, they are responsible for cleaning up pretty much the whole code base, and they make massive amounts of contributions, but on delivery, when it comes to stories, they're among the slowest. They have the most amount of commits, and statistically, if you look at the Git history, they have made the most amount of contributions, but they are always slower than people who have a fraction of that contribution to the code base. And this is, I'm very sorry to say, the reason why it's so hard to evaluate how good a developer is, because the only objective way, if there is such a thing, to determine if a developer is as fast as another one is to give them literally the exact same task and then clock them, like a race. Just have them sprint next to each other and see who delivers at the end. And then you need to evaluate the quality of the work with a pair of eyes that belong to someone who is very, very good at the thing that they are actually doing. So what I would give as a suggestion here is that you have a sit down with the senior and try to just hear them out. Like, just talk to them, like talk about the performance and what you're seeing, what you're not seeing. Just have an open dialogue and see what they say, because there might be all kinds of reasons. If you don't get anything meaningful out of that conversation and you're still unsure about what's going on here, then you sit down and you have a talk with the team or like his or her coworkers. If you don't, that's assuming, of course, that they actually do work in a collaborative fashion in some form, because if this person is working in complete isolation, then this is a jack-in-the-box for you as the manager. Then this is fucking risky, because if you fire if nobody else knows what this individual does, you can only get rid of them and then find out if the thing, like if somebody else needs to inherit their project or whatever, then it's only afterwards that you're going to find out if they actually were really, really good or if they were shitty. You have no way of knowing unless you have someone who evaluates has an intimate knowledge of how they are as a person and how they work and how they interact with people. Without that, this is, as I said, it's a jack-in-the-box. Like, it's complete. It's a crapshoot. You don't know. In the worst case scenario, you might fire that individual because you think that they're unproductive, and then you put another person on that and they just go, I can't work with this. How the hell has this been working? I don't know how to do this. And then you need to make that painful call back to this developer and ask, pretty please, can you come back and save my dumbass from firing you? So that is a risk that you definitely face. So what I want you to take away from this is that I would say that if you're dealing with a senior that is much slower than your juniors or something like that, something is going on here. Either they are absolutely they could be incompetent, but you should also know that juniors who are faster than seniors are usually, there's something going on there. And it can be many things. The juniors might be, I mean, sure, the juniors could just be magically more talented than someone that is more experienced. That is absolutely possible, but it's also possible that they are given simpler tasks. It's possible that they're like basically shitting legacy on a daily basis all over your project because they're more focused on just hacking things together than doing things well. There's they could also just be pretty much not doing exactly what they're doing. Like, you can perceive that might think that they're actually delivering very quickly, when in reality they're just getting things to kind of work, and then there's tons of bugs and other issues, right? And the other way of looking at it is that the senior might actually be trying to clean things up because you never give them capacity to do that. So they just they just take more time every time because they think that you should abide by good practices, and that slows everything down. They might be trying to do higher quality type of work, like really go in on testing and stuff of this nature to really do a good job. And lastly, it's possible that the thing that they're working on is actually so complicated, or the project is so messy that they can't really move much faster. And it all comes down to you now figuring out what the situation is. And the only way you can do that is to have a conversation with the senior, try to really hear them out, and then hopefully you can have a conversation with coworkers that knows how they do work and how usually they do on other sorts of tasks. If you don't have that option, and the only option you have is to talk to the senior, and you don't get anything meaningful from it, you're gonna have to flip a coin here. Go with your gut feeling and either fire them or keep them around, and just brace yourself, because if you make the wrong decision here, you might be paying somebody who is really ineffective, but you could also lose somebody who is a critical resource that you didn't even know what was critical to the success of that project. Have a great day.